Hey everyone, this is Angelica Celaya, and you guys are listening to Chris Gordon, Ramblings of a Hellblazer.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, Hellblazers, wherever you may be in the world right now. This is Chris Gordon on Ramblings of a Hellblazer. I hope everyone's well and staying positive. I certainly am. I would just like to take this time to say thank you so much for your continued support on my little podcast. I'm very humbled to say that I have now over 1,000 plays. That's absolutely outstanding. Thank you so much. I would never in my wildest dreams have thought of anything like that. Well, today on the Millhouse Mix, I am proud and more than a little excited, I must say, to bring to you someone we all know and love from Constantine. She's beautiful beyond words, with a wit and intellect that match her character. She is by no means a newcomer to the TV screens, having appeared in many TV shows, being both English and Spanish, with a main role in El Señor de los Cielos, I hope I pronounced that right, and more recently the female in Kiss of Vengeance, playing a sexy and mysterious assassin on a personal war with a Mexican drug cartel who are responsible for her family's massacre. She's also been in the reboot of Dallas in 2014, and finally as the character we have all come to love. So, without further ado, Hellblazers worldwide, it is my pleasure and honour to present to you the badass who's helped John Constantine on many, many occasions, the one, the only, ZED, Miss Angelica Celaya. Okay, so good morning, Miss Celaya. May I call you Angelica for the purpose of this interview, or Angie?
You may call me Angie. Good morning.
Good morning, thank you very much. Okay, news of this interview has ignited the fires burning in the hearts of all the Hellblazers. So on behalf of them all, I would like to thank you wholeheartedly for accepting this invite and allowing me the honour of interviewing you for the fandom.
Thank you. Honestly, thank you for being the voice of so many fans of Hellblazer out there, and for being such a motor to, keep all this, noise going and everything, and for always being so active on Twitter, on social media. Thank you.
Oh, great. Thank you very much. I'm sure everyone would love to hear that from yourself. Okay, so I'll start with some questions here. This is going to take you right back, I think. Well, hopefully not right back. You're not that old. So that's a nice... that was a nice...
Oh. Well, I know it was my birthday, but come on.
Way to go, Chris. Insult her on the... Okay. When did you start your interest in acting? Or when did, was it an early age that you started to think you were going to go into something like this?
Well, I've always been a weirdo. Maybe that's why I'm always like putting tweets out there about weirdos, because since I was a little girl, well, I'm the youngest of 3 brothers, and I'm the only girl. And of course, my brothers didn't want to play with me. They didn't want to play Barbies with me or anything like that. And it was funny because I hardly played Barbies. I was more into pretend cooking. Okay. And then I always had my own TV show. And then from there, I used to see all of these court dramas, of like these court procedure shows. Mm-hmm. And then I would go back into my room and act out every single character in the court procedural, shows I would see. And then I started developing this thing of wanting to just hang out by myself more than hang out with other kids, because I felt other kids never got me. And I always wanted to be in this make-believe world where I could do anything. But I was always so real to that of like, no, but if they cry, they have to actually cry. And if they're angry, they have to get angry. Okay. And my mother was like, okay, well, you want to spend all this time in your bedroom, go ahead, just don't set it on fire. and that was really me. And then as a teenager, I started helping out in theater, and then I started getting into theater when I started, I was really into directing the music and lighting in theater, because to me, lighting and music is everything. And that sets the mood, that sets the tone. And it's funny, I can be without television, but I cannot be without music. Oh, yeah. And to me, music is also something I love. I don't play any beautiful instruments. The only instrument I played and by ear was the viola, which is like the most weirdest instrument that People are like, oh, violin. No, it's the viola, the thick older sister.
Yeah.
And so after that, I started, within, the whole directing, the lighting and everything, I started getting into acting. And then from there, I ended up directing as a teenager because I'm a control freak, I guess, maybe because I'm this type of person that I want to put like this whole vision out there. So
Right.
I would direct my colleagues and then also put out like the music, the tone, the lighting, everything. So from head to toe, I would direct theater as a teenager because I wanted people to go in and have an experience.
Okay.
And then from there, I got the opportunity to go to Mexico City because Spanish is my second language. And I went to Mexico City to perfect my Spanish accent.
Okay.
And continue studying acting. And I haven't stopped since. So yeah, I guess it has been from a very early on moment of my life that I've had this ongoing passion for creativity and portraying true human emotion. That's always, to me, it has to be true human emotion. Maybe, other actors have like this other technique or goal that they want to do with their work. And for me, I always want to keep it true to where someone at home might see it and be like, yeah, I felt that. When I get someone at home saying, yeah, I felt that, or I relate to that moment particularly, that to me is my goal. Everything else, whatever, producers and the network and production, whatever they say, it's like, that's something different. To me, it's all about someone being able to relate to that. Hello?
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. Oh, that was so embarrassing. Yeah, I was going to say that's actually really interesting because it's what you actually can bring into a character and the fact that you really do, like, you those emotions that you do get to feel them and everything like that. It's amazing that you, when you said obviously from a younger age as well that you were very much into that sort of, looking at the court dramas and things. I did actually read recently you wanted to be Wonder Woman when you were little as well. And I'm just going to take you back. I know we've gone a bit further. I just want to take you back. Why Wonder Woman? She's a strong female character, so I guess it was that you saw involved in her?
Yeah, it was. I basically I had two superheroes as a little girl, and I had She-Ra because her and her brothers would defend, Grayskull and all this, and to me, I had this strong bond with my brothers, and we've always said like, He-Man and She-Ra were the brothers were against the world, and then
yeah.
and Wonder Woman is because I guess in some way she reminded me of my mom. My mom is, when I was a little girl, of course she was this Amazonian woman, but, as I grew, she became shorter. But but my mom was, this tall, light-skinned, dark, wavy hair woman that had everything together. She was my invincible superhero, and Wonder Woman was the most closest I could get. And every time I saw Wonder Woman, I saw my mother, and I wanted to be my mother as a little girl, and I still want to be my mom.
Oh,
and Wonder Woman to me is mom, is home, is I've got it all under control. It's just that's where I also developed my passion for portraying strong women. And since day one, that's all I've ever done. I've never played the victim. I've never played someone who life beats down and doesn't, evolve from that.
Yeah.
My goal has always been to, make sure that young women out there see strong women and they can look up to, maybe if it's a character on TV or whatever, but I think it influences, and I think anybody, any young kids in particular, whether you're a boy or girl, but if you're being exposed to strong women, that's what you're going to want, and that's what you're going to aspire to in life, No,
that's a great thing to be. It's I know from speaking to some of the Hellblazers who are female that your role as Zed really inspires them to to want to take things further as well, and obviously be that stronger character, and they really see that within Zed. And myself, and obviously when I've been looking at seeing the roles that you've already done, one that sprang to mind was The Kiss of Vengeance, which I can't admit I've personally seen yet. I'm sorry, but it seems like you're a female version of the Punisher in that film. You've had your family have obviously been sadly massacred, but you then obviously go around playing an assassin and get your revenge on them. So obviously that's a real strong character there as well, and you can see that through obviously I'm going to say this wrong, El Señor de los Cielos.
Yes, you said it right.
I know you've been a long-standing character in that as well. So again, it's unfortunately my ignorance and my lack of being able to speak. I speak German. I can't speak Spanish. I'm sorry. So I've not seen that. But again, I presume it was another strong character because, like, it's quite obvious that's what you portray. Like you've just explained there.
Yeah, that character I did actually on that show really touched. I wanted to touch home as to what a lot of Mexicans, Latin Americans are living right now, which is this whole war on drugs and the cartels. But one of the most dangerous countries to be a journalist is actually Mexico, and not like just this past week they massacred another journalist in the middle of the city, and it's just that no one can really portray the truth of what's going on because it's so covered up by the government and all this stuff, and I wanted my character to really go after that, and my character was calm, was trying to get to the truth, to the bottom of things, doesn't matter what she risked to get to that, and then the last moment when my character gets assassinated, as how I actually, it's funny, when I found out that my character was going to be assassinated, I asked the creators to please write up my character to be killed off as any other journalist would be killed off in real life. So basically I got my nails taken out one by one. I got nails taken out, and I got a bullet to the chest, and it would actually be a little bit more gruesome in that. In the real world, I would probably have some limbs cut off, but it was network television, so we got to keep it a little bit clean there.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
So even to the last moment of my character saying, "Okay, this is the end. I'm really gonna die now." I died with my head held high and telling him to bugger off in a very Mexican way, and with my head held high. And it's funny because even to this day, that's everybody's favorite scene. They're like, "Oh my God, you died with so much balls." I'm like, "Hell yeah, I died with more balls than any other man died on that show."
Well, that's the way to be. You've kind of you've spoiled the ending now, so I shouldn't have asked that question. So no, I'm going to watch the movie and I'm going to know all the way through to the end what happens there.
Sorry.
That's all right. That's okay. I don't mind. I will watch it, though, I promise. It sounds like a really good movie, and obviously the fact that you're in it makes it better. And seeing that portrayal there will be fantastic. So, and that death scene you've elaborated on. I'm glad I haven't had my tea yet. But yeah, no, that sounds great. Okay, moving on. In preparing for this interview, as you are aware, I have consulted all the Hellblazers to ensure they've had an opportunity to ask their own questions to yourself. And if we'll move on to those questions now, and I'm going to ensure I put the names of those who asked them and where they're located, because, again, as you're aware, with the time zone differences that we've had in trying to arrange this, that Hellblazers are not inhibited by geographical boundaries. So Okay, so I'll start with... the first couple I think are mine as well. What drew you into the character of ZED and the Constantine show in general?
What drew me in was, again, it's this strong woman who is extremely sarcastic and has lived on her own, running away from her own family, from her own life, and wanting to create her own reality, her own destiny. And again, I go back to the kind of characters I like to portray, and... Okay. I love that she's a badass. I love that she doesn't take no for an answer. And, and she was always on Constantine's toes and keeping him on point. And that's something that really drew me in. I mean, the moment that I started, casting with Matt, I mean, it was just that we both put up like this whole thing of like, no, I'm going to push you. No, I'm going to push you. No, I'm going to push you. Not one of us let each other be like pushed. So we were just like fighting, you know, but like in the scene of like, yeah, you're not going to take me into a corner. Hold on. And that was like, damn, this is going to be so much fun. This is going to be so cool to do.
You do seem to have such a great chemistry. Everyone on set, everyone on the whole show just seemed to have a brilliant chemistry like that. So it looks really, really good.
Yeah, we all, honestly, I mean, working with Matt, working with Harold, working with Charles, they're like family. They're honestly true team players, and we all thought about the project, not about ourselves as individuals, and we cared for each other and took care of each other during, you know, any scenes that we had to do. And I mean, we're there even if we're not, you know, on camera. Even though if someone's getting their close-up, we're there, we're standing for them and being extremely respectful to one another, because we all got there through our own merits and each one's creativity, and that has to be respected all the way.
Yeah, definitely. It sounds really, really, really cool. It's just endearing the show more to everybody, I think, is the fact that you know, that went on, and that sort of camaraderie and family sort of bonding that you had. Your character's portrayed differently to the comic. Was that a conscious decision to create your own role, to make it your own?
I had to. I couldn't keep her. I wanted to, honestly, I did want to make her a little bit more sarcastic and sexual, because the comic is extremely sexual. And I was headed down that way. And then as we saw, you know, Corrigan started to play in, and so I had to keep that a little bit hidden. But I couldn't portray Zed as 100% as is in the comic books, because I wouldn't do her justice. I think it would have been such a, you know, going back to the comic books and trying to compare each thing I did to, you know, something fresh. And, you know, Zed became Latina, and Zed became, you know, from where she's feeling a lot to where she's kicking ass to where she doesn't want to speak to anybody. And then she just crumbles to the floor in, you know, in one episode. So I wanted to give her my own twist, my own little creative twist.
Okay, cool. And it definitely worked, because Zed is, the character as well in the show is absolutely fascinating. And you can see the torment, obviously the hidden past, everything there. But it's not bullish, it's the strength and the determination of Zed that shines through. So it's a fantastic portrayal that you've done of her.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, this question now comes from Kim in Philadelphia. If you could change anything in an episode of Constantine that you were in, what would it be, why, and how?
Oh, that's a good question, Kim. If I could change anything, what would it be? I think, and this is my own thing,
Okay.
I wouldn't have let Gary Lester touch me for a second time, already knowing how much, you know, I got from him, and how much he drained me, and how I felt, you know, all shooken up. I would have not let him do that to me. I would have gotten so close to him, and if you guys notice, up until this episode, my arms are pretty, you know, I have them closed up with my jacket. I'm not really getting anyone close to my skin because I don't want no one touching me. And the second time around, when Gary gets, you know, his energy to keep going out, granted, he goes out for the hunger demon. I don't know. I guess I would have, the only thing I would have changed is to make that, you know, more into Zed being able to say, you know what, fine, I know this is what you're going to do, but a little bit made it more conscious as to, you know, Zed saying, I'll let you drain me of my energy so you can go and do what you need to do to make amends, you know, make amends. It would be to, and you know, when the first contact came and Gary took all this energy from Zed, and she felt, you know, all of his heroin addiction and all this, would be to actually also show, because she is also clairvoyant, and to show that she saw his intentions of the future of going after the hunger demon. And I would have liked to tie that in a little bit more, you know, just to make her more, I guess, not such of a klutz. And not just about, you know, putting herself out there, exposing herself, because she doesn't expose herself that much more after that. She's like, nope, a lot of touchy-touchy, nope.
Okay, no, that's a really interesting answer, actually. And yeah, it kind of makes sense when you explain it like that, because, yeah, Zed is a very, very... She isolates herself, yeah. You're thinking back when you've just mentioned that, yeah, you isolate, or Zed isolates herself from being put in that sort of situation. So, yeah, that's a really good answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving on to the next one, which is a question by Amber Surratt in Michigan. What does Zed feel towards John, and how would a relationship work between the two of you? Hinting on the romance side that you've mentioned already.
Zed and John. Zed is infatuated by John, and he is... Remember, Zed has this thing of her father figure of not having such a close father figure. I mean, he's been a little too close, as in, trying to make her, be the leader and messiah of this cult that he has going on, but that we know in the comic books. I think John is the first man that she meets that is, even though he's so screwed up, even though he has all these demons he's dealing with, he is the most protective and honest man she's met. Even though he played her off, and when they first met, and he duped her. It's something about that that he wanted to protect her and keep her away from harm is what drew her even more, into that. Even when she got, affected by the fallen angel's heart, he still did everything to protect her. And all these things that John pushes Zed away, Zed pushes in, because she knows he's protecting her. And I think the fans saw a lot of chemistry on screen as to where Zed really wanted more, but John, with all of his demons, didn't want to push in. And we saw that in the last episode when Jim goes for it. Jim goes for the kiss, and he's there. And John sees it, and Zed is just, she's a little devastated because she really wished that was John and not Jim. Yeah.
The chemistry was definitely visible from the people watching.
And I think it would have been, I mean, honestly, with the clairvoyance and someone with all these spells, that household would have been a little messy.
You would have been having little hell babies.
Hell babies everywhere.
Oh, God. Okay. So the next question is also from Amber, and it kind of touches, I think you've already touched on the fact, so I kind of know where the answer to this is leading. Did you read any of the Hellblazer comics to learn more about the character? And if so, what did you like most about that Zed character in the comics?
That's the first thing I did. I read Original Sins and The Devil You Know. Those were the first two books given to me. And Original Sins, I mean, that's where I started seeing Zed and her whole, cult base and how she gets down with John, too. Yeah. And, what drew me in is the first thing I got from reading Hellblazer was really her sassiness and her sarcasm, which I had to bring on screen. If I didn't touch on being sassy and sarcastic and, giving attitude, that's one trait that you cannot take away from Zed. You cannot, not do it. That's something you have to bring to play because that's who she is.
Yeah. Cool. It's good to know that you did read the comics first.
Yes.
There's some quite out there. I mean, I'm not even going to mention the film. That some people obviously don't.
No. Funny thing is that the week prior to actually, going in for the role and getting it, it kept coming on. Like, it just kept coming on TV, and it's just like, what is this? Like, I know this was out here years ago, but what? And I'm seeing it, I'm like, I don't, and then I'm like, and then I get, to go in to read it for content. Like, really? Is this what they're doing? And then I started reading what we were really going to do, and then I started reading the scripts, and I'm like, hell no, this has nothing to do. And then I read the comics, and I'm like, what the hell happened with the movie?
I think the movie's just in the fandom world is just something we don't really mention much.
It's artistic interpretation, and leave it at that.
Artistic interpretation, very, very good. Okay, do you reckon this is from Ross in Spain? Did John's mum put Zed in John's way to save him? Do you think?
That's a very good question because Zed is a sensitive, and she did have contact with his mom.
Hmm.
That's a very good question. Oh my God, he actually discovered something. I think it's not only the mother. I think it also has to do with destiny, and it has to do with protection, and it has to do with there's certain things that have to happen in their own worlds that have to come to pass.
Yeah, fate.
I think there's two lives that come together, and they just had to. They had to. It wasn't a coincidence. It wasn't, something that just happened. I mean, he was in Zed's head for such a long time, and she thought he was going crazy. Could it have been, his mom? Maybe.
Yeah, I know he was in Zed's head for a very long time, because I just love the end of that first episode where we just get your introduction and your room is just absolutely adorned with pictures of Constantine everywhere.
I'm being obsessed.
Yeah, I'd say that was obsession, but but that was just like, whoa, it came to the end of that episode and suddenly it focused on you just busy scribbling away. It was like, whoa, who's that? But yeah, no, there's definitely, I think it's like a fate, it's like a cosmic fate, I think, has to bring those two together to work on, so that's really cool. Okay, where am I now? It's from Tracy in Scotland, who's the Hellblazer DJ, if you haven't seen putting the mixes together. She puts great music mixes together on the podcast, so sure she'll be asking you for your music soon. So, this one is, within the Hellblazer comic, which issue would you like to see most from paper to screen?
Of course, well, we saw a little bit of, which was the last episode.
Yeah.
Which I really enjoyed, because that was when we started seeing Zed coming in, and I actually have it here in my hands right now. But yeah, it I don't know, because I know the guys have their favorites and the guys want to do like their own thing and all that, but I have to just say, from a girl's point of view, well, yeah, I mean, Zed and John have to shag, and Zed has to walk away and say, thank you, bye, I got what I wanted, bye. I gotta show that, because I mean, honestly, what have we seen out there with the comics that, and on screen that, the girl, she kicks ass, she helps him fight demons, she pops into the shower with him, gets her own business going, and then she walks away and says, thank you, goodbye. That's badass.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good answer as well. Fair enough. I'm just pretty sure no one would complain about seeing any of that from either side, from yours or Matt's.
But it's the whole thing. It's not just the shagging. It's her walking into the shower, getting her thing, and then saying thank you, goodbye, and then walking away, and then continue fighting. And it's like, and she's like, yeah, it doesn't matter. This is exactly what I do. It doesn't matter. Yeah. So don't get attached.
Yeah, that would have been worked really well. Especially that would have fitted really well with Zed as well. Definitely. Oh, you've put me off now. Okay. So, if this is from Carissa in Canada, if you were to have a soundtrack based on your life, what songs would it be on, or what would be on that soundtrack?
Oh my, what would be on that soundtrack? That's pretty. I'm always listening to music. There would definitely be. I'm a huge Beatles fan, like huge.
Oh, cool.
I went to Rishikesh in India to go see where, they came up with this marvelous music in the White Album, and there would be lots of that. There would be lots of Led Zeppelin. Mm-hmm. Of course, you guys seen my Led Zeppelin t-shirt that I hardly ever take off, because I just, maybe it's the hair thing. I'm not sure. Maybe I see myself identify with that. And there would be lots of I don't get identified. Like, there's not one song that identifies me. There's just genres of music and lots of Ella Fitzgerald and Billie Holiday and it's anything that is bluesy in between old and new and what songs in particular? That's a tough one. That's the real tough one. Maybe right now the only one that comes into my head right now is that anytime I hear it, I have to stop and it gets me.
Yeah.
Is Wild Horses from the Rolling Stones, because it's Southwestern rock and roll, and I grew up in the Southwest of the United States, so it's very cowboyish, and that song, it's there. That one and Freebird by Lynyrd Skynyrd, and
Have you ever had a chance to come over? About the Beatles, I'm very, very lucky where I live. I literally live 40-minute drive from Liverpool. So I've walked down the Cavern. I've drunk in the Cavern Club. I've quite a few times. I've crawled out of the Cavern Club afterwards as well. Have you ever had a chance to get over and sort of experience Liverpool at all?
Not to Liverpool. I've been to London a couple of times there, and I always find myself smoking a beautiful pipe down in St. James Place and just hanging out there and going down to Camden and I've done lots of clothes shopping by there because it's a lot of like punk rock and a lot of stuff that we don't see over here. So I end up taking a lot of like key pieces that I mix with other stuff, maybe some other, extremely fashionable clothing that we see, but I like mixing a lot of stuff. So I like going down there just to get, ideas as of outfit wise because, well, I like that too. I like expressing myself through clothes. And, but yeah, I have to go back. I have to go back when it's not cold. I always end up there when it's freezing. I have to go and experience when I can be without a heavy coat.
Yeah, that's pretty much never.
Never, but I mean, compared to January, February, December, there's other months where it's not as you're being thrown into the North Pole.
Yeah, it's pretty grim winter here.
But I love it though. I must say that I guess a lot of my. It's funny, I grew up in the Southwest United States, but a lot of my music, a lot of my taste in music comes from, your country because Corinne Bailey Rae, and then I go back to Rolling Stones and the Beatles, and then I go into, Amy Winehouse and the Subways and all these other crazy bands that I hear out there. And to me, it's like, you guys get music. I don't know what is in the air. I don't know what's in the soil. I don't know what it is, but you guys get music and influence everybody else. So
cool.
Congrats for that there.
I've got to say there are some, I think from the 60s, 70s, well, I say all the way through, there's just a certain beat, like you say, there's just something about the British music scene which it inspires other people to move on there. I will say though, if you ever come over to Liverpool and that sort of area, then I'll be more than happy to show you around places and take you to the Cavern.
We'll go to the Cavern Club and then we'll crawl out drunk.
Yep, that sounds like a good plan. All right, cool. I'll move on to a question from Blaze the Bruiser, who's in Russia.
Okay.
Zed always thinks, acts and works outside the box, creating her own rules. Are you that kind of person in real life? Now, I think we've sort of touched on this earlier, so it should be quite an easy question.
Yeah, it's funny, in some parts of my life, I'm very old school. I'm very old fashioned. I go by certain rules as of like rules of respect and stuff like that I grew up with, with parents who are very, very traditional Mexican. So this whole thing about certain conduct is really enforced since you're a little kid. And it's all about respect towards elder or towards authority. Well, I'm not sure about authority, but elders, yeah. But other than that, no, I've always walked to the beat of my own drum. I've always thought outside the box. I've always liked making other people think outside the box.
Yeah.
If one of the things that I do for my friends and the people I love is I make sure they always, see other options and think in other areas that maybe they haven't thought before, because it opens up options. And I think that's the key to life, is not always seeing what we're expected to see and not always do what we're expected to do, but give it our own twist and think of maybe new ways. I mean, the ways exist. Everything exists. It's just that, maybe we haven't thought about it yet.
Okay.
And, yeah.
That's really quite cool. I hear what you say about respect as well, and respecting the elders. It seems to be something which sadly is lost in a lot of society across everywhere. There just doesn't seem to be that respect anymore that you can... I'm talking.
Oh, no,
I'm 39. I'm old. So.
I mean, I can talk to my mom a certain way, and it's funny. In English, I can say, "Oh, you hoe," "Oh, you bitch," but we say it with lots of love. But in Spanish, no way. Oh, no. I can feel anytime I disrespect, like if I feel that that's coming on to disrespect anybody that's older than me, I do see like my mom's really big hand with the slap coming towards me, and it's like, no, I'm not going there. It's something that was, it's implanted, and there's something you have to just respect. And other than that, I do my own thing and I have my own beliefs.
Fair enough. That sounds a great way to live. Okay, the last fan question is from TJ, who I'm sure you've seen quite actively on Twitter as well.
Yes.
And he would like to ask, how would you feel about a fan-based project for you to be Zed once more, and would you return again for the Hellblazers to become Zed? If you could.
I will, if the opportunity comes to portray Zed again, I would do it in a heartbeat. I didn't get everything I wanted to do out of my system. I wanted to do so much more. There's so much stories I wanted to touch base on. And if, and the Hellblazers know out there that I was really hyped up to, dyeing my hair and then getting bald and doing all these, physical transformations that go on with Zed. Yes, I want to do that so bad, because it's not only the physical transformation, it's her emotional transformations of everything that's going on with her family, with, losing hope, which, and being hurt by her family, and some way she tries to find that inner strength. And I think that's a storyline I would really love for it to come to life. But also I think the little bit that was left out there, of course to a lot of us, it wasn't enough, but I think we did it justice. And I think that at least, with the 13 episodes that we put out there, we beat the crap out of whatever was done on film a long time ago.
I'll vouch for that, and I'm sure there's thousands of Hellblazers all screaming, hell yeah, when they come back and hear this. No, you're right. I mean, it would be absolutely amazing if, obviously we can get Constantine renewed for season 2. But I think you've left a legacy of 13 episodes, which are always going to be there. And from my point of view, and I'm in the chat rooms daily, so I know this is coming from everyone, is that those 13 episodes were absolutely amazing, and there's more and more people getting drawn in each time because they've been they've been replayed everywhere. New people are coming in. They're seeing people at Comic Cons. They're seeing pictures everywhere of you, of Harold, of Matt, of Charlie, and everyone's just like, well, what's all this about? And there's a huge fan base, and it's growing and growing. And for a 13 episode season to have that much support, it's going to go down in history as, I think, as a cult classic. If it doesn't get renewed, it'll it's definitely being a cult classic. And I think if it does get renewed, it's going to be an even bigger cult classic. I'm making sure, that's how sort of the feeling is. I think within the fandom, it's a huge show, and so much potential to still be got. Like you've just said for development of Zed and everything.
I think honestly, I think I can speak for like the rest of the cast. It's really humbling, and it's beautiful to see so many fans out there still supporting. All the Hellblazers out there still supporting Constantine, and the new fans coming on board. And it is every single time, and that's why I agreed to do this interview, is because every single time I go on social media and I see new fans and I see new things putting out there and all this creativity to express the love, that you guys have for Constantine. It's amazing. It honestly is. And it only makes us, for me in particular, it makes me that much happier and satisfied with what we did with 13 episodes. And that meant that all the stuff that we went through, everything, the late night calls, going home at 8 o'clock in the morning, sweating bullets through, trench coats and leather jackets and high boots and scarves and sweaters in August in the middle of Atlanta with 90% humidity.
Jesus.
All this stuff, all this lack of sleep, being in conferences and doing interviews with maybe 40 minutes of sleep within, 30 some hours.
Yeah, oh my God.
All that was worth it. All that was worth it. And I can say for myself and everybody else that we would do it again in a heartbeat, because it was so much fun. And I think it shows out there, and with all the fans just, coming together, you guys are the best. Honestly, you guys are the best.
That's really, really sweet. Were you surprised with this? Last two questions from me before I wrap up. Were you actually surprised with the support from the show that you've got from the fans? I mean, you've hinted at it all there. Was it a surprise to see how much love there is for the show and for you guys as the actors in there and the characters? Honestly,
yes. I mean, I come from a world of Spanish, television and all that, and there's supporters out there and there's supporters all over the world and out there, but. And they've always talked about, the characters and the normal fan base. And then this happens, and it's the comic book fan base. And then it's, the Hellblazers. And that just took me for a whirlwind, because you guys are passionate. You guys are 100% there, rock and roll, hell yeah. And I'm like, these are my people. I feel like I'm a part of something really cool. And it took me for a surprise. Of course, when you get onto a project, you don't think it's going to have the impact it has. And I'm not saying about television-wise. I'm not saying about, production, network-wise. I'm saying about fan base. That's what I'm talking about, because at the end of the day, everything ends. At the end of the day, everything, gets renewed or canceled or taken on by another show. That's what happens. That's the reality of television. But the fans, they stay. The true fans stay, and they're not 1, 2, or 3. It's, you guys are awesome, and you guys are a lot, and it's awesome.
Cool.
It's really cool.
Well, I've got to say from a personal experience as well, and if you were to join any of the group chats that I'm part of for the fandom, you will see it from everybody, just how much it means to us, that you yourself, for example, are so interactive. A simple favourite of one of our tweets or or a retweet or a reply, you should see what that does to everybody. We're just so happy and so excited to receive that from yourself. It's like, oh my God, the interaction that you do has really sort of drawn everybody as well towards you, and realizing how much you really care about those fans. It's very obvious from seeing that. And as I say, everyone I've spoken to is. All you can see is, oh my God, I got a favourite from Angelica. I'm like that. So it's to see that kind of interaction coming back. It's just absolutely fantastic, and it shows through the whole of this interview that we've had that you've got that real love for your fans, and obviously you're as active and vocal in the support of the fans and affection as Hellblazers. I mean, I saw the other day as well, someone's even created you a My Little Pony, Zed. That's just awesome.
My heart melted. I'm like, oh my God, I would get this in an actual, an action figure of My Little Pony, Zed. That was my little toy. I grew up in the 80s. So yeah, I grew up with My Little Ponies. And then I saw it. I'm like, oh my God, I felt like crying.
I know, yeah. I mean, I grew up in the 80s as well. I mean, my little song was My Little Pony, you're skinny and bony. My Little Pony is or something like that. So yeah, I remember those tunes very well. I actually got I collect 1/6 figures as well, and I had one made of Matt as Constantine, specially made for me. And you're on the list as next, along with along with Harold as Manny as well. So when I've got the money, I'll be making them to put on the shelf as well.
It's really, really cool. Honestly, all the stuff that's put out there by the fans and all, the GIFs and quotes and pictures and comments, drawings, all that. Believe it or not, I mean, the fans got to know that every single thing that's put out there, I see and I save. So I have this little special folder that I put everything that you guys draw and I put it all there because it means a lot to me because, listen, a lot of fans out there take enormous amount of time with detailed drawing, certain things and I respect that. I respect that, and I know you guys can draw, I don't know, any other character out there, but you decide to draw ZED. and I just want you guys to know that I'm really appreciative of that, and I got you guys' back.
Oh, that's really sweet, and I'm sure it's going to warm the hearts of everyone to hear that. Who's out there now? Okay, so Angie, once again, this draws us to a close for the interview. All I can say is I thank you from the bottom of my heart for allowing me this opportunity to bring the Hellblazers the interview and for taking time to speak with me. It's been my absolute honour and privilege to talk to you, and it's something I'm going to remember for a long, long time.
Chris, thank you so much for this interview and for reminding me every single week of what's going on and everything. And with the time difference and everything, and thank you for your family also for being there supportive too, and for the Hellblazer family. Honestly, it's you guys rock on. You guys are so badass, and I'm here for you guys.
Oh, that's lovely to hear. Thank you very much, Angelica. Okay, so I'll sign off from Angelica now. Thank you very much, Hellblazers. I'll speak to you soon. Well, Hellblazers, I hope you enjoyed listening as much as I did in recording that. There's nothing further I can say except stay tuned to the Ramblings of a Hellblazer with myself, Chris Gordon. Look me up on Twitter at ChrisGordon1975. Keep fighting the fight to revive Constantine. It's getting closer. We're going to do it. And stay safe wherever you are. This is Chris Gordon on Ramblings of a Hellblazer, signing out. Thank you very much.